All right, what's up, guys? Keyshawn G here. This will be another new part. Well, not a new video, another new video, and this will be what if Naruto is gay, due to the broadcast and y'all requests. So I'm going to do both. So I'm going to give you a 18 warning because this will contain gay stuff, butt stuff, even more butt stuff, and possibly extra butt stuff, and combat, and more like killing and combat, possibly. But if you can't handle this stuff, please get out the, you could say, gay side of the kitchen because this shit's about to get extra sus. But other than that, let's continue the video. Now, we start off with the whole Nine Tails attack, and everything. The Nine Tails attack happens quite differently, as pretty much the Nine Tails gets teleported and it doesn't attack the village and destroys it. Many people saw the Nine Tails about to, do some havoc and wreak havoc to the village, but it doesn't. It disappears. Now, this is where Minato is confused and trying to figure out what the hell happened. And this is where a certain someone pretty much teleported the Nine Tails and pretty much having a combat fighting it. And it's no other than Kishan Uchiha. Now, he's pretty much, summoning his pretty much giant beast or his giant thing, and it's a more like a, think of it as Alien X form, but it's a giant, just like at the same. It's kind of a giant, kind of like Aaron, a giant. Now the Ninetales is pretty much fighting it, which Kishan is pretty much watching and trying to see what the Ninetales do. Now this is where, of course, Minato sees the whole fight commits, and he's looking, and he is beside Kishan and asking, "Who are you, and what is this?" Which Kishan looks and says, "Oh, hey, Minto. I'm just right now, well, trying to see if my thing is stronger than the Ninetales, and if it can kick its ass, then I guess I win." Now, of course, this is where Minto says, "Uh huh. Are you an enemy of any of the village?" Which this is where Kishan Uchida says, "No, I'm not. But my name is Kishan Uchida, and I'm a galaxy god." "Oh, are you trying to get the Ninetales because your wife is almost about to die?" Which Minato is confused and scared of, saying, "How do you know that?" Which this is where he says, "Oh, I know everything. I pretty much create universes like this universe right here, of this, you could say, universes that of thoughts and memories that." Which this is where Minato is confused, saying, "What?" Now this is where Kishan explains it. It says, "All right, I explain it to a simplest term. This is like kind of a what if universe, or you could say a universes that I create or other people create with their ideas and minds. When we combine together, we basically can create other universes, or basically, I don't regularly create half the universes due to the minds and wishes and the goals that other people think about of what if scenarios will happen. They pretty much create the universes. Not sometimes I can create some, sometimes they can create some. Sometimes we work together and make it work together. But other than that, this is a universe that multiple people created, and I'm just here to chill and see how it goes." Which this is where Keisha wants you to ask Minato a question. Let me ask you a question, Minato. Would you get mad if your son was gay? Which this is where Minato says, "No, I love him just as the same way, and give him the love and support if he likes boys." Now this is where, of course, Keisha Chia says, "Huh, okay. I guess this universe doesn't have to have no dead people. Alright." And this is where he pretty much snaps his finger. And Minato wakes up. And this is where he's waking up in bed, and he's pretty much looking around and stuff. And Krishna is pretty much holding Naruto. And pretty much saying, "Oh, honey, you're finally awake." Which Minato is confused and looking around saying, "What? What the?" Because let me tell you what basically happened. So Kishan Uchiha kind of, you could say, mess with space time and reality and kind of warp things in, kind of did some things. Now, this is where, of course, Minato is the only one to remember because Uchiha wants him to remember for certain reasons. Now, of course, this is where as Minato's getting up and pretty much getting dressed and stuff and putting on his Hokage thing, thinking like, who was that person? Was that all a dream? And when did Naruto give birth? Now, of course, this is where Minato is asking Kushina a question, saying, quick question, honey. When did you have Naruto?" Which she's pretty much saying, "Are you sick? How can you not remember? It was the day of the night when Kushina, Minato, and Obito. When Obito, Kakashi, and Rin came to see the baby have birth, and he was there too, all smiling and happy when I was giving birth, and that's when Naruto came out. Now, of course, this is where he thinks this is what Rin, Rin, oh wait, when Obito and and Kakashi, they're all here, which because like I said, Kakashi already told the news that Rin died and Obito is dead, which as he comes to see they're still alive and they're pretty much, pretty much chilling and stuff and saying, "Oh, sup sensei," which Obito says that, which Ren is pretty much is saying "Ah, Master Minato," which Kakashi says, Hey, he begins to, you could say, read Pervy Sage books because Pervy Sage is kind of doing his research much earlier than usual. Now, of course, this is where Kakashi has his headband on and he's pretty much covering his eyes because we're gonna say this this Kakashi and Obito did survive the boulder and the trap because Obito kind of gave Kakashi the eye much earlier than usual. So yeah. Now, of course, this is where Kakashi is looking with his headband, pretty much saying, "Well, are we going to be doing another mission, or what are we going to do?" Which Obito is saying, "If this is a dream or not a dream, I don't want to wake up from this." Now, of course, this is where Kishan Chia pretty much looking at Obito's house, saying, let's see how this goes," and pretty much disappears. Now, we're gonna say a couple years has skipped, and this is where, of course, Naruto is pretty much a buddy with, pretty much best friends or childhood friends with Sasuke. Always been playing around Sasuke, been around him like somehow like they was meant to be together or bound together of somewhat or some way you could say. And no, it won't be incest because the Sage of Swiftpath had a different sons. So they're not the reincarnation of the sons. So this won't be, oh my god, it's incest and stuff. And oh my god, this is some Alabama shit. Because kind of like, no. The Sage of Swiftpath had different sons. And they're not related to them. So calm down. Okay. Other than that, we're all set. We don't have no Alabama shit. It won't be no Alabama shit. So we can be good. But then again, I might do. Now I'm joking. But let's continue. Pretty much, Naruto is playing with Sasuke and stuff, and they always be around each other, training, eating, having fun, doing many things together. Kind of you can think of it as a couple. Now, this is where, of course, we're gonna say Kiba is a little bit childhood, a little bit friends. What I'm saying, y'all always be playing with each other and training with each other. Y'all kind of act like a couple, and begins to start laughing, which Naruto begins to yell at Kiba, saying, "We're not as a couple." And Sasuke is blushing and looking away, saying, "Yeah, we're not." Now, we're going to do a couple years to skip. And we're going to say this is a 15, 14, 15. Yeah. I might mess up the age limit, but hey, fuck it. Pretty much 15-year-old Naruto is pretty much, of course, getting trained. Like, he's pretty much getting trained and stuff and all that stuff by by his father half the time, but regularly the other time he be going to the academy and stuff. And he's extremely intelligent because his mom and his dad has been on his ass all his life, make sure having better education. So he's not dumb. He's very intelligent. Now, this is of course where Sasuke is kind of going a little bit of a dark path, but not as too dark. He's pretty much wants to be acknowledged by his family and stuff, and wants to prove his father that he's want him to acknowledge and praise him for being doing good and stuff like that. Now, this is where Naruto and Sasuke, of course, sits together by seats and stuff and always talk to each other and do classes. Now, this is where, of course, we could say this is the start of the anime, and Sasuke begins to walk with Naruto, and Naruto is pretty much saying to him like, "So Sasuke, you think you want to hang out with me to eat Ichiban ramen later on, or come to my house to hang out with me later on?" Which Sasuke begins says, "Yeah, sure." Which they begins to go to a separate house compound. Now, this is where Itachi is, showing up in the Hokage house. I mean, the Hokage office, meeting Minato and saying, Lord Minato, did you call me?" Which, pretty much, Minato is saying, yes, Itachi, I want you to find us or someone, or look around villages, you and Sisui. I want you to find this person named Kishan Uchiha. Which, this is where Itachi says, "Uchiha, what do you possibly want to do with him?" Which Minato says, "I want to talk to him. I want you to bring him here to me, if you can find him." Which Itachi and Sisui says okay, and begins to do their mission and trying to find Kishan Uchiha. Which we're gonna switch to Kishan Uchiha, which he's pretty much at the Hidden Cloud Village, pretty much talking to the Raikage and pretty much having a debate with him, saying, and this is what they're pretty much having a debate about, saying, "I don't care, Killer Bee. I don't care, Killer Bee. Killer Bee is a cool rapper. You keep hating on his music, and you say his beats is not cool." Which Killer Bee is saying, "Yeah, you heard what he said, foo." Which the Raikage is pretty much saying, "I don't care. I don't care what's going on. His beats is not 100% lit, and my little brother will not be good at doing a rapper music show." Which this is where Kishan Uchiha says, but this is where you're wrong, Raikage. You're definitely wrong. He can be a rapper because his beats is so fire that either the bees will regret. Either the bees will regret not listening to his beats. You hear what I'm saying, yo? Which the Hokage smacks his face and says, "Ugh." And which Little B says, "Yo, you know what he's saying." Which they're pretty much forming a rap beat bond. But pretty much, Kishan Uchiha is there at the Cloud Village, pretty much hanging out with the 8-tail and the 2-tail. Because, hey, they got a bond. They're pretty much all chilling with each other. Now, this is where, of course, the Akatsuki is forming their plans and stuff, and trying to recruit another Uchiha and stuff. And they're thinking to try to recruit Kishan Uchiha. Because Obito, like I said, the Oten universe is kind of older, so they're thinking about trying to recruit Kishan Uchiha and make him part of the Akatsuki. So, instead of Itachi, it's getting replaced with Kishan Uchiha. Now, this is where we switch back to Naruto and Sasuke. Now, this is going to be a spicy part, so like I said, it's going to be a lot of sus stuff. So if you're not part of this dark Sasuke stuff, I recommend getting out the kitchen because shit's about to get glizzy spicy. Sorry, I had to do that, but let's continue. Pretty much, as Naruto is at his house, Sasuke pretty much come in and start hanging out with him and stuff. Now, Sasuke is pretty much in the bed. Sasuke is pretty much in the bed and stuff, and he's thinking, saying that he wishes his father can acknowledge him and stuff. And Naruto pretty much just jokingly hops on Sasuke, and pretty much tells him that, well, he acknowledged him, pretty much looking down at Sasuke and blushing. Now, this is where Sasuke is, we're going to say, just joking around and grabs his ass and saying, "Oh, so you do," which Naruto is pretty much, makes the odd noise, which Sasuke says, "Oh, I was just joking," which this is where the spicy shit comes in. Naruto looks at Sasuke and says, "I didn't know your eyes were so black," and begins to go in for a kiss, which Sasuke leans in for a kiss too. Now, Naruto's pretty much is on top of Sasuke, making out with him and stuff. And this is where, of course, Kushina is walking in, and she begins to knock on the door, which this is where Kushina says, "Oh, I thought y'all guys were hungry, so I made y'all some cookies and stuff." Which Naruto and Sasuke looks and says, "Oh yeah, thanks, Mom." Which Sasuke says, "Thanks, Mrs. Kushina," but she says, "Oh, it's okay." Now, this is where he grabs the cookies and eat one, which Sasuke grabs Naruto and bring him back to the bed and pretty much says we wasn't finished, and they pretty much start to eat the cookie together, and after the cookie they make out. Now, this is where shit gets spicy, and Naruto and Sasuke begins to take off their shirt, and Naruto Naruto begins to, you could say, relatively moan because Sasuke is biting on one nipple and twisting the other one, and it gets low to the lower part. Now, this is where Sasuke begins to, you could say, suck off Naruto. Now, Naruto begins to, moan and stuff and try to hold his mouth because, like I said, his mom is pretty much in the room, and he, you could say, done nut in Sasuke's mouth. Now, Sasuke pretty much devoured it, pretty much swallowed it up, and begins to you could say get the, we're gonna say Naruto has a lube, you could say the good lube in the drawer, and I know what you're saying, a lube in the drawer. You told me Naruto was already trying this shit before. Listen, it just works, all right. But pretty much, Sasuke, Sasuke is Sasuke pretty much is uh laying on the bed while Naruto pretty much put the lube in. He fingers Sasuke's butt. Now, as he's fingering his butt, he's pretty much getting softening up and stuff, and Sasuke is moaning and stuff. Now, this is where Naruto says he's going to do it. He's going to put it in, which Sasuke says, "Go ahead." And this is where Naruto push will put his penis in Sasuke's ass. Now, he's pretty much going in now, and Sasuke is trying to not moan and stuff. And this is where Naruto grabs Sasuke's penis and starts to jerk him off. Now, as he's going in now and jerking him off, this is where Sasuke says he's about to come, which Naruto nuts in Sasuke's butt and Sasuke's come with his penis. Now, as that happened, this is where, of course, Sasuke and Naruto lays with each other and pretty much sleeps for the night. Now, the next day, of course, Naruto and Sasuke is still in the bed with each other, and Kushina accidentally walks in the door and sees Naruto and Sasuke sleeping with each other naked, which she's about to scream, but she lets them sleep in and close the door. And she pretty much takes a breather and says, "I knew this day would come. I knew he was gay, but I didn't know it would become this early." And she begins to walk in, tell Minato, which Minato is pretty much asleep on her couch, and she says, "Minato," which Minato says, "Yeah." And she pretty much tells him that Sasuke and Naruto, they pretty much is a little bit flushed saying they had sex with each other, which Minato says, "I remember what he said," which this is where Kushina says, "Remember who said?" Which this is where Minato says, "When I was going, well, I don't know if you remember or not, but it was kind of like the same when the Nine Tails attack was happening. There was this little boy or this teenager boy, kind of like was kind of saying that." Sorry about that. Let's continue. So pretty much, what was I trying to say? Yeah, pretty much, Minato is pretty much remembering what Kishan Uchiha said, and he pretty much says that there was Kishan Uchiha who was basically saying that his son was asking the question if his son was gay, would he love him the same way? Which This is where Minato, said the same thing and telling about Kishan Uchida, and he was there fighting Nine Tails and putting him on hold, which Kushina is confused and saying, okay, so it did happen, but when did this happen? Was this another time or altered time period? Which they're both confused, and Minato saying he doesn't know, but all he remembers is he snapped his finger. He brought Obito and Rin back to life, which Rin is the three-tailed Cherokee for the Leaf. So I forgot to tell you that. So he's pretty much confused about now. Pretty much as well, Naruto Sasuke is waking up. No, this is where pretty much what should I say? This is where pretty much yeah, Naruto kisses Sasuke in the head, saying "Good morning, sleepyhead," Naruto, which Sasuke pretty much kissed Naruto on the lips, saying "Good morning," and they pretty much get dressed and begins to head out. Now Minato begins to say "Good morning" to both of them, which Sasuke is saying "Good morning" and Naruto saying "Good morning," and they're happy and stuff. This where Kushina is pretty much accidentally split out, saying so so how much fun did y'all have last night doing each other? Which, Kushina actually said that out loud. And, Naruto begins to, blush and look away, which Sasuke looks down. And Minato says, Kushina, I'm sorry, but Naruto and Sasuke, I support wherever, if y'all in a relationship or y'all a couple, or I support y'all. Okay, son? And I'll always support you, which this is where, of course, Naruto says, thanks, Dad. And, of course, Kushina says it too. Now, as they're walking pretty much out, Sasuke begins to grabs Naruto's hand and holds it while they walk, which Naruto looks down and Sasuke grabs Sasuke's hands too. Now, they're pretty much walking to the academy, and they're in class. And Sasuke and Naruto is pretty much holding hands on the table, which, no one can see, but only them. Which, this is where the teacher's talking and stuff, saying that the Shadow Clone test is coming up, so y'all better be prepared. And everybody's, prepared. So everybody does Shadow Clone test and everybody passes, including, Naruto. Because like I said, training by Minato and Kushina about how to, handle the Nine Tails and stuff. Because Kushina has Nine Tails and Naruto has Nine Tails too. So also that. Now, this is where, of course, everybody passes, but a random student doesn't pass, and he begins to get told by Mitsuki to take the scroll and to go. To come back to him. Now, of course, the kid says, okay, and he takes the scroll and begins to start going. Now, we're going to say later that night, Sasuke and Naruto is pretty much out in the woods making out, you could say, because they can't get their hands off each other now. And Naruto pretty much hears hears someone coming. He says, hold on, I hear someone coming. And he throws a kunai at a tree, which the kid is at, which the kid begins to freak out and sit. Now, this is where Naruto looks and he says, wait a minute, ain't you that, wait a minute, what are you doing with that scroll? Which he begins to say, Mitsuki said I can pass if I can bring the scroll to him. Which this is where, of course, Naruto says that, Mitsuki, why would he tell him to bring him that scroll? The forbidden sealing sword history. Now, this is where Naruto takes the scroll from the kid, tell him to get going, and he makes sure he passed. Well, tell him to get going, which the kid says okay. Which to say okay. Now, of course, this is where a little bit hard. Oh, but this is where, of course, the kid gets going. Now, this is where Naruto has the scroll and tells Sasuke to take it to his dad while he go handle Mitsuki. Which Sasuke says okay. Now he's going to pretty much go into Mitsuki while Sasuke runs to give the scroll back to Minato and to pretty much, tell what Naruto's doing. Which this is where we switch to Naruto, and Naruto is pretty much at Mitsuki and telling him that Mitsuki, I know you're the traitor of the Leaf Village that was trying to take the scroll and get out of here. Which this is where Mitsuki comes down and says, "Huh, the Nine Tails look like he knows everything." Now this is where he pretty much says, "Well, you're not gonna stop me, and if you don't have the scroll, I guess I'm gonna have to kill you." And he throws a Shrine Shuriken at Naruto, which Naruto dodges and pretty much throws throws a kunai at Mitsuki, which Mitsuki dodges. Now this is where Naruto says, "My father said never use a Rasengan, but I guess I'm gonna have to do it." And pretty much does form, like we're gonna say three shadow clones, and begins to send them at Mitsuki, which Mitsuki is dodging them left and right, and we're gonna say he kicks one of them. Now this is where Naruto finally formed the Rasengan, and he charged at Mitsuki, which Mitsuki wasn't expecting, and gets hit by the Rasengan, sit flying to the tree, and pretty much down for the count. Now this is where Minato comes in and says, "Naruto, are you okay?" Which Naruto looks at his dad saying, "Yeah, I'm alright, father." But Mitsuki's down. I got him, which Minato says, "Good job." And Sasuke runs up to Naruto asking if he's alright, which Naruto says he's fine, which Sasuke is saying, "Thank God." Now, of course, this is where, whew, sorry, this is where, of course, Naruto, Naruto and Sasuke passes, and they go in the classroom the next day, and they're all sitting. Now, this is where the instructor comes in and starts saying all the teams, and Team 7, all the teams are the same, including Team 7. But Team 7 will be pretty much hmm, Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sai. I forgot Sai's last name. But yeah, Sai. And he's just going to be the almost by the you know, watch over not Naruto. Because Minato is still kind of a little bit paranoid of Kishan Uchiha coming back and probably trying to kill his son or anything or something. He doesn't know about Kishan Uchiha, so that's why he wants Sai to protect Naruto. Now, this is where. Now, this is where, of course. Now, this is where, of course, Naruto. Naruto is looking at Sai, and Sai, does a smile and looks at Naruto and Sasuke and waves at them. Now, of course, this is where, you know, they all be in a room meeting with each other and stuff. And Naruto is talking to Sasuke and stuff, and, planning on what they're gonna do and all that after this day. And this is where Sai is pretty much, doing some drawing and stuff, and just, making, singing under his mouth. Which Naruto says, "So Sai, can you tell me about you?" Which this is where Sai pretty much says, "Oh, it's nothing much, I just I'm just here to chill and stuff, and maybe I don't know, pass the test and all that." Now, of course, this is where Naruto is kind of getting suspicious of Sai, but he says whatever. Now, this is where Kakashi comes in, and Naruto sees Kakashi and says, "Oh, Uncle Kakashi," which that's what he is. And Kakashi says, "Ah, Naruto, so you're on Team 7, and of course Sasuke too." Now, this is where Kakashi makes a joke and says, "Well, don't be getting close to each other that much," which Naruto and Sasuke start blushing and looking away, which Kakashi knows about the whole thing, including Rin and Obito. Now, of course, this is where we're gonna say Sai is pretty much confused of why they're blushing and looking away, and he just bats eyes, says whatever. Now, of course, this is where Kakashi is saying everybody meet up the rooftop and what is their goal. And Sasuke is much different because, like I said, the Uchiha is alive and his brother never massacred it, and he's not part of the Akatsuki. So his goal is pretty much he likes to train and stuff, and to be by Naruto, and to eat with him and stuff, and do all that fun stuff. But also he wants to, at wants his father to acknowledge him that he is a ninja and he have improved his skills and stuff, and to acknowledge him. Which Kakashi says okay. Sai, his is silly much different. His is different. He's saying, nothing much. I don't have no motivation. I have no motivation in school. I don't know really. Which Kakashi gets a why, but he says alright. No, Naruto's is much different. He's is the same thing, to hang out with Sasuke, each guy ramen and stuff. But his goal is to become Hokage. Believe it. which, Kakashi is smiling and saying, okay. And Sasuke is smiling too, which Sai, he looks and smiles because, like I said, he's kind of to watch over Naruto and protect him. Now, Kakashi says, well, tomorrow we're going to be doing a bell test, so y'all guys get prepared and make sure to be eating up for the bell test, which, Sasuke and Naruto says okay, and including Sai, which he just smiles. Now, Sai is pretty much going, and he's pretty much walking with them, which Naruto is saying, he kind of weirds me out, which Sasuke is saying, yeah, he kind of is off-putting, but he is our team member, so we better get to know him too, know him much better, which this is where Naruto offers Sai to come eat John ramen with him, which Sai starts to smile and says, yeah, sure. And they begins to go eat ramen together. Now the next day, pretty much Naruto, Scott, Sai is pretty much sitting down drawing art, and Sasuke is pretty much waiting, which they're saying, what is taking him so long? Which this is where Kakashi is pretty much saying sorry, he lost his way of the road of life and all that, which they make all the faces saying, Now this is where, of course, whew, yeah, this is where, of course, Sai is pretty much still painting and stuff, and Kakashi saying, "Huh, you really like painting?" Which Sai says, "Yeah, I do." Now, of course, this is where uh, Naruto and Sasuke and Sai's pretty much waiting while Kakashi is pretty much playing the belt test, and if they don't grab the belts, they pretty much fail. Now, of course, this is where they say okay, and Kakashi says the remark, get set, go, and everybody starts to spread out. Now, Naruto is already with Sasuke, and he explains to Sasuke that he's going to basically create a shot clone, be a distraction while we think of a plan and hold him off for now. Which Sai is there too, saying, "Oh, so what's his plan?" Which Sasuke and Naruto get scared, well, get frightened because Sai came out of nowhere. Now, of course, this is where Sai begins to say, "So what's the plan?" Which Naruto asks Sai, "Does he have any like unique abilities and stuff?" Which Sai says, "Well, I can make make my art come to life." Which Naruto is thinking, saying, okay, that can work. We can use that, and begins to tell the plan. Now, of course, now this is where, of course, Naruto shows himself and says, alright, look like it's time to defeat you. Which Kakashi says, oh, really? By yourself? Let's see then, Naruto. Which Naruto charges at Kakashi. Now, Naruto throws two kunais at Kakashi, but Kakashi dodges with ease, and Sasuke begins out the bush and shoots two fireballs, which Kakashi dodges with ease. Dodges it. Subjutsus out of it. Now this is where Sai comes out, and Naruto says, "Now Sai," and Sai pretty much paints out two birds, and the birds comes at Kakashi, which Kakashi can't can't dodges, and gets hit by them, and pretty much gets hit flying to the tree. Now Kakashi is pretty much down, pretty much can't see anything until Naruto trying to run in and try to get the bells until Kakashi knocks him away, and Sasuke comes in and grabs the two bells. Now he gives one to Sai, and he pretty much splits it in half and gives one to Naruto. Now this is where, of course, Kakashi says, "Nicely well done. You both passed," which uh, which Naruto, Sasuke, and Sai is really happy that they pretty much passed. Except for Sai, he doesn't really have no motivation but to protect Naruto. Now, of course, this is where Naruto is at home with Sasuke, pretty much decided that they passed and stuff, and saying thinking what mission they're gonna do, which Naruto doesn't know, and Sasuke begins to you laugh and begins to kiss Naruto. Naruto kiss Sasuke, and they start having their night together. Now we're gonna switch to pretty much Sai, and Sai is pretty much talking uh to Minato and telling him that nothing didn't happen today. He didn't show up or anything. Which Minato saying, okay, where can he possibly be, and what is he, and what is his true goal? Which Minato is a little bit paranoid and thinking too hard about it. Now we're gonna switch to Keyshawn and Chia. Now, Keyshawn is pretty much talking to Killer B and stuff, and making raps and stuff and jamming out. Which Killer B says, "Yo, you think we're gonna actually be the best concert here?" Which Keyshawn says, "I don't know, Killer B, but our beats are so fire that either heaven's gonna try to stop us." Which Killer B and Keyshawn start, jamming out with each other and making beats and stuff. Now, this is where, of course, Itachi and Shisui appears, and this is where Keyshawn and Chia says, "Oh boy," and Itachi says, "Are you Keyshawn and Chia?" Which this is where, of course, Keyshawn says, "Who asking?" And this is where Itachi says, "You're coming with us by Minato order." Which Killer B says, "Yo, what you think you're trying to do? Take away my second man for the rap beat?" Which this is where, of course, Keyshawn says, "I think they are trying to take away the beat." Now, of course, this is where Obito and Shisui activate their Brigekyo Sharingan and put Killer B in a Genjutsu, which Killer B says, "So this is a Genjutsu, huh?" Which Killer B is a little bit older, but he's in his, he's a little bit older, which he's pretty much saying, "So this is a Genjutsu, huh?" And Keyshawn is pretty much, which Shisui is trying to put a Genjutsu on pretty much Naruto too, but not Naruto, Keyshawn, and Keyshawn is pretty much saying, "Are you trying to Genjutsu me?" Which Shisui is shocked that a person can actually withstand a Genjutsu, and he's pretty much saying, "Itachi, he's not getting affected by my Genjutsu, but Killer B is," which Itachi's saying, "What? How's that possible?" Now this is where Keyshawn says, "Alright, since you're trying to Genjutsu me, I guess I'm gonna have to kick your asses for doing that to my mans." And this is where, they get in their fighting stance too, about to fight Keyshawn and Chia. Now, this is where Keyshawn and Chia pretty much looks at them, and he turns his eyes into the Galaxy Renegade. Well, the Galaxy Sharingan, Mangekyo Sharingan, the internal Mangekyo Sharingan, you could say. And it's with the whole stars and stuff, and also purple and stuff, kind of the Galaxy Renegade. Now, this is where he looks at both of them and he says, "Fall." And it pretty much knees down and he begins to, can't move their body and it begins to fall and be trapped in the Genjutsu, which this is where they're pretty much knocked out. Now, this is where Keyshawn and Chia is saying, "I'm sorry, Killer B, that I did this," which Killer B is pretty much, out of the Genjutsu saying, he said, yo, it's alright," which this is where Keyshawn says, "Listen, Killer B, I'm going to leave the village. I'm going to leave the Cloud Village, alright? Tell your brother that I will be coming back soon, but right now I have to leave because they're going to keep coming after me. I don't want the village to be in war with the Leaf." Which Killer B says, "Alright. Oh, and tell the Two Tails that I'm going to, tell her that we're still going to have that date, but I'll be back." Which Killer B says, "Alright." And Keyshawn begins to go. Now, as he's leaving the village and stuff, the Cloud Village and stuff, this is where, of course, one of the Akatsuki members, and we're gonna say Kisame, says, "Keyshawn and Chia, we heard a lot about you. Would you like to come and join us?" Which Keyshawn and Chia says, I mean, I guess if y'all can give me protection, if y'all can get me away from these two annoying Uchihas that's trying to capture me. Which Kisame says, "Alright." And Keyshawn Uchiha begins to go with the Akatsuki for certain reasons, not because of the destroy the leaf or anything, but for certain reasons. Now, this is part 1 of What If Naruto Was Gay. If you like, leave a like, do all that stuff. But I'm Keyshawn Uchiha. Thanks for watching, and peace out.
Looks like you lost another one.